In step 6, you'll be revising your narrative. One of the important things to understand here, and that's evident, I think, right away by the 2 to 3 hour time allotment associated with this assignment, is the idea that a revision is not simply correcting grammatical mistakes that may have been noted by your peer reviewer. It calls for much more than that, as you will see in the task description. But before we get into that, let's think about how it relates to the larger course. We're going to continue to develop reflective awareness and personal insight into your experiences with reading and writing. We will continue to use direct quotation and paraphrase in our writing to help draw out meaningful insights from scholarly and textbook sources. We will use conceptual knowledge about motive and purpose to analyze prior experiences with writing, and we will demonstrate an ability to revise previous writing based on new reading. Now that you have had a chance to read and make sense of Lunsford's key points, your task is to revise your narrative in order to further deepen your thinking. When writers are asked to revise, they resolve to change things about their original work. In this step, you will revise your literacy narrative from step 4. Part 1. To revise your literacy narrative draft, first reread the draft narrative you composed for step 4. After you have reread your draft, open up a separate blank document and rewrite your literacy narrative by changing at least one or more aspects of it. For instance, you may change any of the following: organization and structure. Try changing the order in which you present your narrative. Elaboration and discussion. Try further elaborating or discussing an important event or idea from your narrative. Adding new ideas. Try adding an entirely new part that may complement your existing narrative. As you revise, you may be able to identify things that you then had an inkling of but had not yet fully realized, or you may discover something completely new. Part 2. Develop introductions and conclusions. After you have completed the revisions in Part 1, open up a blank page and compare your experiences with reading and writing with the students from Lunsford's article. To develop your comparison, you may want to consider any of the following questions. What does your comparison help us notice about why we read and write? Are there any key terms that have become particularly important to understand why we read and write? Why? Based on your reflection in steps 1 through 5, what would you have to say in response to the question, why write? Adapt your comparison to either conclude or introduce your revised narrative. What do we expect from you? We expect about 1,000+ words. That is 4 to 5 pages in a 12-point font, double-spaced, not including the works cited page. We expect that you will cite Lunsford's article in Macmillan's chapter, Why Write? Once you have done that work, you will be able to submit it and you'll be able to move on to the next step.